inadamay na umauupra-pura ito ang ay teaon eh. Para iole, para iole, ano itabuan niya, alay lalabi ako,
Going into the race, I had no doubt that I was going to finish the race. Quitting wasn't an option. During the race, quitting seemed like the only option. The trail conditions were pretty gnarly. I thought growing up in the Rocky Mountains that I would be fine on the trail. You know, you might have 10% just super gnarly where you kind of have to scale across stuff. Well, this is the opposite. It was like 10% runnable and 90% where you had to be really careful and mindful of where you put your foot. I ran a 50 miler in March, about a year before the HURT100, and I was talking to a gentleman who is he's a running coach. He's been doing ultra marathons for like 20 years, and I told him that I wanted to do the HURT100, and his response was, I would highly suggest not doing it as your first 100-mile race. He said that you should probably run 100-mile races twice a year for several years before you even attempt running the HURT100. And I thought, he has no idea what I'm capable of.
Number 1907, Dolan Ward from Idaho.
It was like a 1% chance of getting in because so many of the entries have been trying for years, and I was immediately scared. I know all the preparation I had to do for the next 4 months, but I feel like between me and my crew, we probably prepared as good as we could without having experienced a 100-mile race before. I told my wife when I was talking to her last night that, you know, these three are all brothers now. The HURT Ohana or family was incredible. I heard estimates that there were 3 volunteers per participant in this race. So there was 350 or 400 people volunteering to help. The aid stations were incredible. My lap 1 and almost the entire lap 2, I felt great as far as my stomach went and my mind. And my body felt great. I didn't really feel like I was fighting my legs, ankles, feet, anything like that, or my upper body. And so I had decent times for my lap 1 and 2.
Let's go, Dolan!
Mile 35, I started feeling kind of sick to my stomach, but I was good morale. It was still daylight. I was coming into finishing the second loop. And I thought with a little rest, you know, 10, 15 minute rest, some food, I could hit the trails at mile 40 and be okay. But sometime around mile 43 or 44, I really started feeling fatigued. And I realized with the help of people that I was texting, you know, the crew and my dietitian and PA wife and friends, that it was all food related. And so I was still in a dark place until mile 47. That's when my first pacer joined me.
Yep, you got this, Dolan.
That was a big morale boost, and I was starting to feel a little bit better until around mile 55, and things just started spiraling out of control. I don't think I talked to my pacer the last 3 miles. He kept talking and he was encouraging and gave me lots of things to think about, kind of giving me my why, because I had lost it. I could not remember why I was doing this. I really did give up mentally. I came into the aid station at mile 60 and I just laid down and I curled up in a ball. While I was laying there, I was giving all these excuses and I was asking them, without asking them, to give me permission to quit. And they just stayed positive. No one even gave an ounce. I just know that all of them started saying, like, you need to get up, you need to get up. And Nate, he went and suited up. He's like, there's no way that I'm gonna let you quit. So he went and suited up. He's like, get up, Dolan, we're gonna go. I remember being able to walk for just a couple of minutes and I'd have to stop and catch my breath. And every time I caught my breath, I'd put my hands on my knees and I'd bend over and I would just sob. So sometime around mile 61 or 62, either my wife texted Nate or Nate texted her, I don't know, but Nate asked if I wanted to talk to her. The moment she answered the phone, I just started sobbing. And she was the one I was most worried about telling that I was going to fail. And I already knew in my mind, there's no way I was going to meet the time cutoffs. I just, like, it was out of my hands. It was no longer my decision. Like, I wasn't choosing between quitting and finishing. I was just choosing to accept that I wasn't going to meet the time cutoff. And I was really worried that she would think that I failed her and failed myself, and I've never been in a state of mind that low. And then she said, dig deep, babe. I believe in you. I know you can do it. And I just thought, you know, I can dig deep. I can do this. And I just took off. I don't know what came over me. It was, you know, shortly after that text, a lot of encouraging words from Nate, my pacer. I saw a clear trail system. I started running. My stomach wasn't bothering me, and I just took off. And at mile 67, I was still feeling like I'm not going to make the time cutoffs, but I'll keep going. And then when they tell me that I missed the time cutoff, I'll just quit. But somewhere in lap 4, I regained, you know, I wasn't nauseous anymore. I could eat, I could drink, my mind was back, and my body never really left me. And so I was just able to take off and run. Towards the end of lap 4, Nate said, hey, I think we're gonna have someone else pace you for lap 5. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, is Alex or Bo gonna start? And he said, no, it's gonna be someone from Team Manoa. My crew knew that it was gonna be really close, or I would be really close to the cutoff times. So the first cutoff is mile 80, and I beat the cutoff time by 10 or 15 minutes. But they knew that I was approaching that mile 80 checkpoint, potentially missing the cutoff. And so my crew members were looking around for a pacer, and they found someone that had just lost his runner that he was supposed to pace, just minutes before I came in to the aid station. And Andy was lined out to pace a runner that was projected to finish in the top 20 at finishers of the race. And he was excited, and he is one of the quickest volunteers that they have on the Team Manoa. The runner actually dropped out just minutes before I came into the mile 88 station. And I didn't know any of this leading up to that or during my last 20 miles. Andy didn't really talk about it. He was thanking me and showing gratitude, probably more than I was showing him gratitude. But in actuality, he was one of the main reasons that I finished the race. He helped me stay at the pace I needed to meet the last checkpoints.
Yes, Dolan. Oh, yeah, dude.
Eventually, something changed, and I was able to keep up with him, and it wasn't a struggle. And somewhere in the last 20 miles, I was like, man, I'm gonna finish this. Andy was ahead of me almost the entire 20 miles until the end. He said, you go ahead. You wanna make sure that, you know, your friends see you first. And so I took off, and everybody welcomed me. I mean, the whole HURT100 Ohana was there just cheering, screaming.
Number 130, Dolan Ward.
It was the loudest finish line I've ever been to. You would think that there were thousands of people there, and there's probably just a couple hundred. So when I rang the bell and kissed the sign, I felt just a huge accomplishment, weight lifted off my shoulders. I've always found that when you're doing something hard for people that you love, then you're more likely to be successful. You'll have more drive and purpose than just doing it for yourself. In addition to just my desire to go through one of the most incredible races on this planet, I found out that my friend Alex Brace had started a nonprofit organization called Silent Wounds and Warriors. And he started this organization to help veterans deal with combat injuries and then also first responders, just finding ways to recover from symptoms or traumatic injuries. I wanted everyone that I could reach to know about the organization, and hopefully we can find people that need to be pulled out of dark places.